And now we drop the last four. I can't take this anymore. 'Cause there's always gonna be another season. I can't wait till we make some moves. This year's been an uphill battle. Mitchell and Mobley made us lose. Our bench outplayed the starters, even with Sabonis going off inside. We're not fine. God, you know what?
Welcome back.
We're back.
We're so back. 4 in a row, man.
We are back to the Tankathon masterpiece, the Tankathon greatness. Everything in the Tankathon world worked out great. The Pelicans won today. The Pacers won. The Brooklyn Nets almost won, but lost in double overtime thanks to a Hugo Gonzalez game tire with a .4 to go and made it into double OT. That was a cinema game. But this game right here, it was elegant. It was beautiful. There was ups and downs. Like in the song, we were in an uphill battle. And against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I mean, in a world where you go, I'm sorry, when you
keep going.
When you are down 16-2 in the first 4 minutes of the game, and then Doug Christie decides, F it, I'm taking out everybody and doing a big hockey line rotation. You know how like in hockey, they basically switch out the entire lineup?
Everyone.
That was a hockey lineup on display. And then they came back. They took the lead. I was just in shock.
All in the same quarter, by the way.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Just unbelievable.
He took out Russ. He took out Levine, DeRozan, Precious, and Max, and he put in a lineup of Monk, Dennis, Sabonis, Dylan, and
I think Neek was the fifth one, right? Neek was the fifth because Keon didn't play.
Yeah.
It was Neek.
And that lineup was rolling. Dennis Schroeder had 10 points in that first quarter. The Sabonis, Dylan, Cardwell two-man game. Oh my gosh. I think we got to jump into it right now.
Let's jump in.
Because okay, first and foremost, Sabonis is back, everyone. And someone made a great point that when Wembanyama missed 12 games, he was coming off the bench for like the first like 6 or 7 games. Whoops. But Sabonis missed 2 months of basketball, and this is his 4th game coming off the bench. And my goodness, he is so back.
He started the second half, by the way.
He did.
Yeah.
Because he's a competitor. He probably hates coming off the bench to start games, but he went off in tonight's game. But in that first quarter, the way Sabonis, that first dunk, that got him going, and then he was finding Dylan Cardwell with these crafty passes. The two-man game between him and Dylan was phenomenal to watch. Dylan in the dunker spot. We were talking about this before the season even started. If Dylan Cardwell could master the dunker spot, he could be a very, very good player. His offensive game tonight looked so much better. He had that nice Rashawn Holmes toucher on the basket. Those easy dunks, courtesy of Mr. Sabonis' incredible playmaking. But R.T. Clark was doing a deep dive on Dylan Cardwell and Auburn, and he wants to bring up something to the table. Let's hear what RT has to say. Get ready. Buckle up.
Let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, and to my co-host, Christo, right over here. I cannot forget the man that is right over here to my left. But the reason why I really...
Actually, to your right.
Yeah, well, to your right. Same thing from my right. But anyways, on the camera's left, but it's kind of weird how it goes. But anyways, how it goes is... Sabonis and Cardwell work really well together because Sabonis works better when he's a 4 and Cardwell is phenomenal as he's a 5. When Cardwell was at Auburn, he played with a very prolific player that almost is similar to Sabonis and Janai Broome. And Janai Broome was basically the hub of that offense. And what worked out really well for Cardwell and Janai Broome was they were building an offense called the high-low offense, where Janai Broome would basically get it above the post, wing, whatever the hell he wanted to go, and it would just be entry passes, and that's where Cardwell dominated in the dunker spot. Because even if Janai Broome got basically beat on defense, by the way, too, Cardwell also would be there to pretty much be a rim protector. So the lineup of Sabonis and Cardwell almost was pretty much a replication of what Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell did at Auburn. The high-low offense is a very, very skilled offense, and also Sabonis has had some experience in the high-low offense when he was with Indiana too. When he was with Miles Turner, that duo worked really well because it's pretty much the same thing that Sabonis has been. I know that Sabonis, when he came to the Kings, he turned into this 5, but honestly, I do think Sabonis is way more efficient and a better player at the 4. And when you put someone that's a rim protector at the 5, that really covers up a lot of Sabonis's weaknesses in terms of being a rim protector. So he can focus a lot more on rebounding. And then you have Cardwell, who could rebound too. So you're guaranteed yourself a pretty good chance of getting a one and done stop on the defensive end or offensively, with two guys that could really crash the boards really well in Sabonis and Cardwell.
Extremely well said. And Sabonis could extend the floor because Dylan Cardwell is not known for his shot. Sabonis isn't really known for a shot either, but he can make threes and he can make shots from the mid-range. So he is more equipped at the 4 for shooting purposes to unlock Dylan more at the dunker spot.
Correct.
As well. And in that first quarter, when Sabonis hit that 3, it looked like he took his time more in comparison to the earlier this season when he was he was getting that quick release off. And when he made the 3 today, it was nice and slow and right from the top of the arc, like he was doing very, very efficiently last season. So
yep,
Sabonis is back, and Dylan in that dunker spot at the 4 and 5 respectively for Sabonis and Cardwell is very fun to watch, and that's why that helped bring us back into the game, and that's what made it very competitive against a very big team.
They're big.
Because with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen down there, we countered perfectly with Sabonis and Cardwell, and shouts out Doug Christie for that coaching decision to do that full swap, but it was those two for sure that definitely were the catalyst behind the comeback, and then obviously Malik Monk and Dennis Schroeder were doing their thing as well. But moving on to that fourth quarter, Malik Monk, man. Malik and Sabonis. If you guys were listeners of the Gang Pod from our origin of last season, we are big advocates of the two-man game between Monk and Sabonis. And people were saying, what's going on with, before this surge in the past 4 games where he's been playing very, very good. Monk obviously was kind of in and out of the lineup, and Monk is elevated to his highest potential when Sabonis is on the floor because he is not only a scorer, but he's such a great playmaker when Sabonis is out there. So seeing them get solid minutes together was incredible. And then one more thing to say about Sabonis and Dylan.
Keep going.
Dylan Cardwell was talking to Sabonis. I think Katie Christensen was saying this in one of the broadcasts, but basically, I think it was in tonight's game. She was saying that Sabonis reached out to Dylan because he was getting low number rebounds. Same with Max earlier on in the season when they first started getting heavier minutes. And then Sabonis was teaching the guys some rebounding cues, like knowing the right angles of everything. And now you're seeing how many rebounds Dylan Cardwell has been getting recently. So we were even touching on this on the last pod that the boys have to be talking to Sabonis about rebounding because they jumped like crazy recently, and there was some confirmation on the broadcast today. So shouts out Sabonis, shouts out our boy Spider-Man Dylan, of course, but man.
Shout out Max too. I know that he had a really tough assignment early in this game.
Yeah, he did.
And obviously Evan Mobley I thought Evan Mobley was going to go for 40 tonight, but I loved the way that Dylan really came in after that whole hockey switch, right? And basically locked up Evan Mobley the rest of that quarter because
first play, by the way.
Yeah, first play too.
Evan into a tough shot.
Yeah, and was just his rim pressure, all those things that we talk about where he is such a force and just not, even if he doesn't block a shot, his presence is there where he's going to just alter shots and he's going to alter tough things because Evan Mobley is crafty around the rim. Tonight it really showed. So the fact that he slowed down Evan Mobley the rest of that quarter really set the tone for the team. It really set the tone for the rest of the game. I thought there were some fantastic efforts from Cardwell overall on the defensive end on Mobley tonight. He did a fantastic job.
No, this is great experience for Mr. Cardwell. In the first and second quarter, the Kings had 30-point 30-plus point.
Yeah,
quarter,
35. I think 35
great.
each. 35 each.
Yeah, so they were scoring the ball very well in the first half. Third quarter, we had a Kang's quarter.
Yeah, it's the third quarter Kangs.
The third quarter Kangs made a return to Cleveland, and that's where we kind of dropped off. But that fourth quarter, we got it within 2.
We even took a little lead there,
Yeah, we
took a little tiny lead.
We had a nice little comeback, and then we had quite the drought to end the game. 0 for 8 to end the game. Tough. But you gotta give kudos to Cleveland because D. Mitch, RT, tell him the stat.
Yeah, D. Mitch. Ever since he was a Cleveland Cavalier going into this game, he was 1 for 4 against us. So he's not had the greatest record against us when he has had a Cleveland Cavalier uniform. Tonight he is now 2 and 4, so he has improved his record slightly, but it goes down to it. It feels like we've had the Cavs number the last couple of years, especially because we swept them after the Fox trade.
Which is wild.
Crazy.
Which is actually wild because Cleveland on paper is like such a tough matchup. But the Kings somehow play pretty well against them, and this was a lot closer than we thought it would be. With that start, we were like, oh, God, this is going to be a brutal start to the road trip. But no, the Kings, they fought. I think the lineups were excellent throughout this game.
I agree.
And it's as simple as this. The bench carried the starters tonight.
Without a question. Without a doubt.
But it's
going,
weird.
though.
It's weird to say that because Sabonis is typically not on your bench. But yeah, break down
just look at the plus minuses. You don't have to just look at this game. You can even look at the box score. And
let them know
that this whole thing, right? So the end of this game, looking at the starters, right? You have Precious Achiuwa with minus 22, Maxime Reynaud with minus 6, Russell Westbrook with minus 18, DeRozan with minus 24, and Levine with minus 20. Those are all negatives in the plus minus for starters.
And double-digit negatives.
Well, except for Max.
Yeah.
But when it came to the other guys, obviously Neek was the lowest of that with plus 3, but that's just because he didn't really get as much minutes. He only had 14 minutes. But Malik Monk had plus 17, Dennis Schroeder plus 19, Dylan Cardwell plus 10, Domantas Sabonis plus 16. So, I mean, if you want to just look at this, the stats don't lie, too. You can even just look at this, and even a fourth grader can really tell who outplayed who, right? That's just the basics of it. It's just that was that. I mean, to me, I was super happy with Dennis Schroeder tonight. Definitely a bounce back game from last time, too. 21 points, 6 for 12, 3 for 5 and 3. And then obviously Sabonis, 24 and 16. Dylan Cardwell, 8 and 3. I know that he didn't have as much rebounds, but he did make up for it with 2 steals and 2 blocks, leading the team in stocks, by the way. Shout out Alex Wormold for the GOAT in giving us the favoritism in stocks. And then obviously Malik Monk, 16 points, 7 assists, just doing what he can as the primary ball handler. This was just a phenomenal game from our bench. I know our starter
outscored the starters.
Well, DeRozan had 20 though. DeRozan had 20.
But we still outscored the starters. Go down the line.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Yeah. We still outscored them, and it also a fourth grader can also tell that the bench outscored the bench outscored the stars. So that's not a coincidence either. So, but honestly, yeah, I think this was a very good game from our bench. I think that this is something that it's really good to see from Sabonis. I'm glad he's back. I think he'll probably start in the next game now that he did start that second half. I think now the tide is now going to flip in this favor, so I'd not be surprised if Sabonis starts the next game. So
how many minutes did he have tonight?
He had 31.
See?
Yeah, I think it's time to put him back in the
That's
lineup.
the most minutes he's had ever since he's gotten back.
The minutes restriction is completely over.
I think you could ask a fourth grader if Sabonis will start in the next game. I think he would also say that.
Are you smarter than a fourth grader?
I think the fourth grader would say, yeah, Sabonis, if he played 31 minutes in the game against Cleveland, he should be starting in the next game.
Yeah, for sure, without a question.
Yeah, this game was, I mean, although we didn't win, it was a great game to watch. I think that lineup that we had with Monk, Sabonis, Dylan, and Dennis, that was awesome to see.
And even DeRozan, I know that he had 30 minutes too. So he filled in for
sure.
He filled in for Neek in that fourth quarter because That's DeRozan's quarter, so that's the right move. So you put Sabonis, you put Cardwell, Schroeder, Monk, and then DeRozan.
And DeRozan was hitting some tough shots.
I
Tough
really
shots.
like that lineup, Christo.
Me too.
I like that closing lineup. I think this could be the closing lineup for this Kings team because the way it's constructed, you have guys that can rebound. You
Guys
have
that can facilitate.
Yeah, a facilitator. You have 2 scorers, right? And this is just a really good blend. I really think this should be the closing lineup for any close game that the Kings are in because this you get the size, you get the playmaking, you get the scoring. You just pretty much get everything except for 3-point shooting, which Monk does kind of cover a little.
Monk could do that.
Monk can do a little bit of it, and then Schroeder can do a little bit of it. But outside of those, you kind of have some guys that trend in the middle. So there's that positive side of it. So, I think there is some big sides to it. And obviously I know Keegan is not there. You would fit in that closing lineup somewhere. So you probably maybe take out Dennis or something like that, or Monk, one of the two, and you put Keegan in for more shooting. So I think if this is the closing lineup in close games, I would be ecstatic as a Kings fan. Even if we don't win, that I just think that just shows that Doug Christie does really show its best effort there.
No, for sure. I completely agree with you. I really liked what we saw in that end of the fourth quarter outside of the drought. But to get us back into the game, it was great to watch. Moving on to some really, really interesting news.
Ooh,
Sammy, you did it again, Mr. Amick. Mr. Sammy Sprinkler.
Sammy Sprinkles Amick.
Samuel Amick, you take no days off, my friend.
It's crazy.
And let me tell you, what you dropped today got me a little sad, if I'm being honest. He said, I don't have the quote in front of me. RT could probably pull it up right now.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Sam Amick reported that 10 teams are very, very interested in Mr. Keon Ellis, and he would be very surprised if he is not moved by the February 5th deadline, or if not, well before.
Cool.
And we are getting very close. We are within the 2-week time frame right now.
We're damn near probably 12 days.
And there's only been one trade in the NBA so far. And Sam Amick putting that out there is making me think, is Keon going to be the second player to go all season? I don't know. There's a lot of interest. There's 10 teams. He obviously didn't list what the teams were, but I think we could kind of figure out
there's a process of elimination
where he would fit. And what are your thoughts on hearing that? Keon Ellis, obviously, we know him for his defense, for his 3-point shooting. He's on a very low contract right now. We obviously did not pick up the option, so it kind of put us in this very weird situation. We had to not worry about the Keon money to go get the Schroeder deal done, the Westbrook deal done. So Keon was kind of on the end of the short end of the stick going into the season, and now we're at a crossroad where we could negotiate a deal with him or move him. Or if not, keep him throughout the season and then he'll walk in free agency. Mm-hmm. So we are in a very interesting situation. I might call it a stalemate. He's been getting DNPs after DNPs after DNP. We haven't even been talking about it because it's been happening so often. We are at a place where Keon Ellis might have his final moments in a Kings uniform.
Sheesh.
And I want to know, first and foremost, how everyone is feeling about that. But second off, RT, let the people know how you're feeling about the situation, and where do you think would be a good suitor for him, and what do you think the Kings should be aiming for in return?
Yeah, this is a big thing to really chew and swallow on, right? This is Keon Ellis. He's 26 years old. He has a very friendly contract. It's not a surprise that
$2 million right now.
Yeah, $2 million. And it's not a surprise that teams are looking at Keon Ellis and saying, hey, this is a guy that we could take a swing on, and then if it works out, you can give him that actual contract extension that he's been dying for.
That he's well deserved.
By the way. And that's just pretty much the icing on the cake. But it's so interesting because there are 10 teams that could really, really use Keon Ellis right now.
I think there's more.
There are way more.
I think any team would love to have him.
That's why I said at least.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tricky, though. I do think, and I kind of want to see where your head's at, but I have a couple on the top of my list. I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State is going to make a move for Keon Ellis. if he's a part of a package deal with another Kings player, because after Jimmy Butler went down, you kind of need some more reinforcements because Brandon Pinjemski is not really doing it for you. Jonathan Kuminga is now out too. So you kind of need
he got hurt.
You need more reinforcements, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Golden State really try to make a big swing and try and get more players in that deal. And you may have to include a player on a contract that has a big contract like that. I don't know exactly what player that would be for them. And you might have to include picks on top of that too. Maybe
I think Keon would be the substitute.
Yeah.
I think Keon would be the substitute for any draft instead of a draft pick, because I think if we're going to move these big contracts, a team would more likely do it if Keon is attached. So my prediction is that if we decide to move Keon, he will get attached to a bigger deal rather than just like a one-off trade.
And I think maybe Memphis also makes sense too.
There's a lot of
I could see Toronto makes sense too. There's just players that you can really package Keon Ellis with, because if Sabonis gets moved, Keon Ellis could be a player that could get packaged with. That's like a big thing, even with DeRozan, with Levine, like some of these bigger names that have bigger contracts. I wouldn't be surprised if Keon Ellis, instead of picks, was attached to it too.
No, for sure. And I think this might be a hot take, but with all of the recent injuries that happened like within the last 24 hours, I think our players got a lot more valuable.
Oh, I agree.
Because
I don't think it's a hot take.
Jonathan Kuminga just got hurt. Jimmy Butler just got hurt. Giannis Antetokounmpo just got hurt. This is like changing like the landscape of the league right now, because
I mean, AD's been hurt.
AD's obviously been hurt. So there's like all the guys that were like the biggest trade targets on the market are all injured right now. And the guys, like no one wants this season to be a wash, especially for the teams that are like veteran heavy, like the Warriors and the Bucks. Like, this is going to be interesting, and like we have like the win now players that could help a contending team. I think Scott's probably getting a lot of calls right now, and yeah, this could also lead into our next news of the day is the like Sabonis. He's back and he's playing very, very well, and he's obviously been a guy that has been shopped around, and I know there's a lot of teams that have interest in him too. And I think Sabonis proved tonight that, I don't know if, I mean, obviously with all the aprons and stuff, it's hard to justify how everyone plays up to their contract, because obviously everyone's big contracts seemed fine at the time when they signed them, but now that these new aprons are in place and all the implications with that, it makes it a lot harder to move guys. That's why we've only seen one trade so far, and in the past there was way more trades at this point.
Yeah, and that trade was basically like a salary dump.
Exactly.
You know?
So that's why I'm like, it's going to be very, very interesting, and I'm still shocked that not another trade has happened, but I do think Sabonis makes a lot of sense to Toronto. I think so too. I think you can make an argument for Golden State. I think you can make an argument for Memphis. I think you can make an argument for Brooklyn. I think you can make an argument for numerous teams. But I feel like if Sabonis,
I saw something earlier with Utah too.
Sabonis?
I heard something with like Utah recently, because Nurkic the last two games had two triple doubles. So it's like, yeah, this is a big deal. Nurkic has turned into like a triple double guy.
He's finally getting that Jokic get back, and when they were both in Denver.
Yes, dude. Yes.
When Jokic took his spot.
So and it's like, you know what? It could be an audition process for if they're like, hey, I know that Nurkic can do this, but I think Sabonis can do that way better in that offense. That could be another potential suitor. So there's just a lot. Dude, that's crazy. So
yeah, I don't know though. Because Sabonis has like 3 more seasons on his deal. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. He's making Dylan better.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays too. And I feel like Keon would sweeten any of the big deal, any of the big moves with Levine, with DeRozan, or Sabonis. So I feel like that's where the Keegan action is going to happen. If he gets traded, it's going to be attached. I could hardly see it happening, just only a Keon trade on its own. So those are my predictions.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel... So let me ask you this then, because with the deadline getting closer, this is where I will say these players where's your expectation is with this deadline? If you were the GM or a fan, what are your expectations for Scott Perry in this deadline? What are you looking for? Are you looking for more than one trade to happen to make it satisfying for you for this trade deadline? Or is this Keon Ellis deal just the one and done deal that's going to be enough?
I mean, I don't want Keon gone. So, because I think if we move the other players, it's going to get rid of the logjam, and then he'll have an actual role on this team. And I feel like if they have that conversation with Keon, like, hey, we're trying to move these guys so that we could sign you to a deal and you'll have a bigger role in this team moving forward. I think in order to satisfy me at the deadline, one of the big contracts has to be moved.
So you feel like one of the big three contracts need to be moved between DeMar, Sabonis, and LaVine?
I would think I would be most satisfied if it's the LaVine contract.
Okay.
DeRozan, obviously, he's only owed $10 million next year, so I think that's also appetizing. So I feel like there could be a world where DeMar and LaVine get moved this offseason. I mean, this trade deadline,
yeah.
And then we keep Sabonis. I think I'd be satisfied with that if we could do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if
I don't think we could get all three.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's the surprising thing for me. That if we got all three, I'd be completely shocked by that.
But I truly believe Sabonis wants to be here. I truly believe it.
I think so too. I mean,
think just with his outside of basketball lifestyle, I feel like he wants to be in this area. But if you were to get moved to the Warriors, then that wouldn't
doesn't really affect him as much. I mean, it's a longer drive from Napa to the Bay Area, but
we know Napa's very. I know you guys might be thinking that doesn't. No, it matters. It matters. Trust me.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Trust me.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So I think Sabonis wants to be here throughout his contract. I mean,
I think so too. And then at that point, you kind of either just give him like a team-friendly deal. If he wants to extend, you give him a team-friendly deal that helps him bring in new players and helps bring in new contracts. If the younger guys do develop along with Sabonis, that could be something where they could bring in free agents. This is just completely down the line, by the way. So this is
Sabonis' game doesn't really hinder anyone else. I think he's best known for his playmaking. Like he look what he did with Kevin Huerter's game. Look what he did with Malik's game. Look what he did with Fox's game. I mean, like
Keegan. The list goes on and on.
Like Sabonis didn't hinder any of them. It just maybe put like a ceiling to our like how far we could go. But like for developmental purposes with a young team, like I think it could be great.
Yeah, and I think
we're not expecting to win a bunch of games in the near future. Mm-hmm. And like if Sabonis like really wants to compete, like then like they could talk about if Sabonis is open to a trade, then like sure, go for it. But I don't even know if that's something that he even wants to. But on the contrary, before the season even started, he wanted to have those talks with the management about the direction of the team. But maybe he's okay with the direction going the way it is, because obviously he saw when we really tried to go for it or just give it one last shot. Look where we ended up this year. So
yeah, not really the most ideal thing. But I want to say another thing too, just based on like getting him in age and all that stuff. I know that athleticism does trend down a little bit, but I feel like for Sabonis, it wouldn't really affect his game as much because he's not asked to be this athletic big. You know, he's more asked to be this bruiser that's pretty much down there, being a facilitator, coming off DHOs, being a rebounder. None of that really changes as much if you are getting older. Your role basically does stay the same. You do maybe lose a couple steps in your athleticism a little bit, but the way that his conditioning is and just the way he's just his IQ, that never really changes either. So
yeah, Mobley and Jared Allen were having trouble with him tonight because he's so like
he's a bruiser, man.
So hard to guard in the paint. So like, and a lot of guys have trouble with him. So I think even throughout the 3 years of his contract, I don't think he's going to dip too much. I think we know what Sabonis could be. He's proved it. But obviously that contract is a lot of money, and you could be taking that and just collecting cap space for once you have a young core, then you could add someone else if Sabonis is not that guy that they want. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what I just don't. I don't see. I'd be more shocked if out of the big contracts, it was Sabonis to go first. I would be.
That would be the most shocking thing. If it's him that goes and it's Levine and DeRozan that stay, that's doomsday scenario. I think that's doomsday scenario for Kings
That's not
fans.
what I want. Yeah.
No, and then it's just like, who the hell are we gonna have that's gonna be a big, and then Levine's contract, you have to kind of like eat that next year. That's just big doomsday scenario.
He's gonna opt in. Yeah.
That's doomsday scenario for me. If Sabonis
best case scenario,
yeah.
Levine and DeRozan, and then that's it.
I mean, that's the doomsday scenario, is if Sabonis and Keon are gone. If that's our only move, and that's a package deal, and we don't do anything else, that's the big doomsday move.
Yeah, but this will say a lot about Scott, how he handles this first trade deadline as the GM of the Sacramento Kings. So we will see. I'll be flipping the calendar every day.
I mean, I'm not to cut you off, but also another doomsday scenario.
You could cut me off. I don't care. Say it.
Another doomsday scenario is we don't move anybody. That's the other doomsday. Right. That is the other doomsday scenario, because we have such a weaker schedule after the All-Star break. We haven't played Charlotte yet. We haven't played the Hornets. We haven't played the Pelicans yet.
We play the Wizards again.
And that might be a win or lose. That might be a winnable game. It's out on the road, so it's not going to really change anything, but those are winnable games, and you play easier teams. You play the Jazz. You might play the Warriors, who have nothing to play for at this point. I'm just going to look at the schedule and just kind of look and see, like, hey, this is kind of where you have to make your moves, because if you don't, then you're kind of like have to really kind of grit it out. We haven't played the Grizzlies yet all season, so that could be some winnable games because they've been so inconsistent all year. Obviously, then you have the Bulls. You have the Jazz, the Spurs, the Hornets we haven't played twice, and then the Nets haven't played twice. And then, there's just a lot of like factors that do play into it, where if you are going to make moves, like if you are going to commit to this tank, you have to make these moves now, because if you don't, these teams that are right there, or some of them that are starting to begin to lose a little bit more, like Utah, they might pass you and you have a worse lottery pick. So that's the worst doomsday scenario if nothing is happening, because on roster paper, the team, I would say, if I would take the roster between the Nets and the Kings, I'm obviously taking the Kings in that scenario. I'm taking the Kings over the Pelicans, over the Pacers, even without Halliburton. I would take them over the Utah Jazz, even though they have played us really tough. Then that's just like the teams that are just kind of there. So worst case doomsday scenario is if nothing is traded, nobody gets traded, and then all of a sudden we no longer at 4 and we're kind of like creeping our way to like the 6th or 7th one, in the lottery. So that's like doomsday scenario, because you want that top 4, because it used to be a top 3 kind of like tier in their own, but Caleb Wilson has been playing his ass off in North Carolina, and Kingston Flemings too. So I mean, that top 5 is like very, very locked in for me. I think you need to really make sure that you are in the best chance possible to get a top 5 pick. And if you get a top 3 pick, then you are in such good shape for the future.
There's nothing more that needs to be said after that. That's how you close out the pod right there.
Man, well, speaking of which, subscribe to our channel.
Hit the button.
Follow us on Instagram.
Hit the button.
Follow us on TikTok.
Hit the button.
Use your high points, damn it.
Yeah.
Use your high points.
Shouts out to the high points. I'm checking. I check the stats every day. I love seeing the high points. So.
I want to see that up. I want to see that in like.
But you can only use 3 a week. So
yeah,
that's why at the end of the week sometimes some of our videos don't get pushed because some people are using them all already.
Smartly use your high points. And if you haven't used your high points, then subscribe and then use your high points. Or
just leave a comment and thumbs up, because that helps. That helps us grow too. So, thank you for being here. Sunday we play the
Detroit Pistons,
the best team in the East.
Oh, Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham.
It's going to be very, very, very tough.
And Asar Thompson. Oh boy,
we could go on. It's not going to be easy. The Kings have lost 4 in a row. We are now 12-34. There's only 36 games left?
Yeah, 36 games left.
36. Can you believe that? It is flying by. 36 more games. I can't believe that we're almost at the deadline. We're past the halfway point, and we're playing the best team in the East. So, with that being said, have an amazing weekend, and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night or good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon,
Wherever
good night.
you are in the world.
That's the quote right there.